What's up, guys? How you doing today? You rocking out with the one and only phillydom. We back here with my boy Mosha to talk about the part 2. We said we're gonna do a part 2, so now it's a part 2 to talk about the woman in Ethiopia that hasn't ate for 16 years. Once again, don't forget you rocking out with the one and only phillydom, and shout out to Drew Brewski for
Mosha.
And Mosha's
Reggae Lounge in the Dominican Republic
as well, for bringing some light to this situation. So Mosha, the floor is yours. Tell them what you need to tell them.
All right. So the reason this is true, guys. She literally can go without eating food, and the reason I know this is because I've been what I call a disease specialist, all right, or a disease consultant or a nutrition consultant. I won't get into the background of myself, but I have a very extensive background in researching these things, health. And I myself was sick, and the knowledge I got was because I was sick. And I told you in part 1, I don't know if I mentioned that I had tuberculosis. And I had lots of diseases, and I got over them, thanks to the Most High. So this woman, I know based on spiritual genetics, that she can go for 16 years without eating. And the reason is this. This is not anything new. Now listen to me carefully and take note. You might not understand now, but later you will. All right. If you close your eyes, I would like everybody at some point, you don't have to do it now, but I want you to close your eyes. Not when there's a lot of light, right? But just go somewhere like in a dark room or in a half-lit room and close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, you're going to look at your eyelids. But when you look at your eyelids here and the forehead where the pineal gland is, you're going to see little stars like twinkling, okay? Moving around. They call it in spiritual genetics, in science, it's called white noise or gravity, okay? When you turn on your television and there is no picture on it, you will see that, okay? Now, that is the right hand of God. That's energy. It's everywhere. It's everywhere in the universe. It's all around you, okay? If you notice, and I'm going to show you another aspect of this, in the Bible or in some paintings, you see a praying hands, or you see somebody kneeling down and they're looking up and there's a light coming into them. That is the right hand of God. That is the spiritual genetic. That is the white noise. That's what they call gravity. If you look up into the ether, up into the sky, you see blue. But if you go up there, it's not blue. That's also the white noise. If you look in the ocean, you're going to see the ocean. The water is blue or turquoise. But when you take a glass and you pick up that water, it's crystal clear, because you can't literally touch this energy. So that energy is all around us. It's also all around us in the form of what you call the wind. If you're driving down the highway, with a drop-top car, and you're driving at 30 miles an hour, and then you start to 40, then 50, as you get to 65, what happens to you? You start to feel what you call the wind hitting against your face. If you drive too fast enough, up to 130, 150, 200 miles, with that top off, it'll cut your head off. That is the white noise. That is the energy. That is what contains energy all around us. Okay? This is what this person is living on. It's all around us. It's harnessed in the form of energy, in the wind, in solar. Your skin is a solar panel to conduct these things into energy. So-called people with a high carbon content have a white nostril, right? Because this is an exhaust system to process this energy, okay? Now, this energy, like I explained in part 1, is also in the body. It's produced in the body. It's called electrons, right? Not acid, but alkalinity. When a baby is conceived, when a woman conceives a baby and she starts to want to vomit, that vomit is caused from the body producing bicarbonate of soda to push the acid out of the body, right? Once the acid comes out, the stomach becomes alkaline. The woman can create this scientific substance that the baby needs also. When a sperm fertilizes an egg, there's an electrical charge. You see a flash of light, and that flash of light creates a drop of blood. That drop of blood is loaded with electrons. So this is a very spiritual genetic. So this woman, I heard they say when she was smaller, how old was she? 6? She was vomiting up food.
And she didn't want to. Yeah, she didn't want to eat.
Yeah,
she would hide it. She didn't want to eat it.
She wanted to eat. So the reason is, like I just told you, her body has no appetite now, because in the beginning, the food was acidic and the body was rejecting it. So she was vomiting because the body was producing a lot of bicarbonate. The body have a bicarbonate system to neutralize food. Breatharians is the same way. Christ was a breatharian, because in the scriptures when they tell you that his disciples ask him and tell him, you haven't eaten in so long, and he says, I have food you know not of. Okay? And again, we were not created to eat food. We were not, believe it or not. And I have proof of this. And you can say, well, how do you know, and this and that? By scientific verification. And by connecting that with scriptural verses and the science, I believe it. 2 things point me to that scripture. One of them is being an herbalist, or what they call a herbalist. I've helped a lot of people. And one of the major problems that people have that causes the damage to the cells is acid. Nothing more than that. The first stage of a disease is what? Malnutrition, because we're not eating the right food. If we were not taught by our parents to eat, we wouldn't eat. When a baby is born, you feed it on milk until you take it off the milk and start to give it food. That's when you destroy the bicarbonate system and the electronic system of the body, and we become accustomed to eating foods. But we are not created to eat foods. If we were taught correctly how to eat food, we would grow up not eating food. We would become sons and daughters of the Most High. Now, do you know that food affects your thought? You ever hear the saying, you are what you eat?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Why is it so important that you are what you eat? Because of this electronic system. The body is this electrical grid. Everything requires energy. And when you produce energy, you produce also acid. You produce an acid. Just like carbon dioxide. When you breathe in, you breathe out carbon dioxide. You breathe in oxygen and carbon dioxide. So the byproduct of muscular contraction is acid also. Okay? So acid is our enemy. And if you really think far enough and deep enough, if you have the background that I have, because like I said, when God told, I'm just using this statement, Adam not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and he ate that fruit. After he ate that tree, whatever it was that he ate, for months, for weeks and weeks and weeks, he didn't want to eat, and he was getting sick, he was in pain. You can find this in what is called the lost books of the Bible, the forgotten books of Eden, and you look at the Adam and Eve story. There is so much truth there, but a lot of people might not believe, but I believe it. So his wife was telling him, you have to eat, and he said, I'm not going to listen to you anymore. And she said to him, you have to eat now because your body is not the same. So his body metamorphosed into what we have today. And another scripture that says, I will visit the iniquities of the fathers unto the third and the fourth generation. Whatever you eat, or you see your parents eat, or your father eat, you have to eat the same thing. But is it necessarily the right thing? I can go for weeks without eating. Weeks without eating food. And I wish I could be like that one. And I know people that don't eat. So yes, it is true based on how your body is designed. And it's hard to believe for a lot of people because of how we've been trained to think. But here I'm telling you, you go home, what she's living off is those white noise, their energy. If you can get enough energy when you wake up in the morning, that's why people drink coffee. But coffee doesn't give you energy. What it does, it shocks the body. Okay, it puts the body in a state of shock, and a rush of adrenaline releases a rush of adrenaline to the system. Okay, that's what you're getting, but it's not good energy. You don't get energy from calories. You don't get energy from protein, because none of that is in the periodic table. There's minerals, okay, and every mineral has an atomic weight. Carbon has 15, calcium 10, whatever, oxygen 2, whatever it is. But every single element in a cell or in the whole universe has an atomic weight. And these are the things that we should be living off of. But we were trained, if you condition your body to eat something, you are what you eat, you're going to become that, so you have to look forward to that. And that food literally becomes a living entity in your mind, right? So let's say you never eat an egg before. Somebody forced you to eat an egg. And you eat that egg. And you eat that egg over a period of a month. If you never seen that egg at some period in your life, one day you're going to have a taste for that egg, right or wrong? You're going to have a taste. Every single food that you have eaten as a child, you have a taste for it. That's why cultural food is so popular. In my restaurant, I have guys coming down here looking for macaroni and cheese. Why? Because that's what they give them. So that food has become a living entity. Spiritual genetics. It's spiritual. Okay? It's a photon. So it becomes in the body and becomes part of the cells. Because the cells, you have in the system, what makes up everything in the universe, what is called indestructible and atomical particles. They're tiny little particles. Now when God said, when they said God made man from the dust of the ground, they did an experiment a while back with a body that was cremated, and they took that body and they put saline solution on the body in the ashes, and they saw that the ashes was alive. So the rule of science is nothing is destroyed or can be created, they only transform. So food, or when you eat meat especially, you literally transforming those indestructible anatomical particles into particles that comes into your body, and you becomes that. So it cries out from within you for itself. This is why people get addicted to substance like drugs, alcohol. It's the same thing. Those things are alive. They're spiritual genetics. Everything in the universe has a space within the universe. It has a function, and if you take it into yourself, you becomes that. So why I'm telling you this is that you function on electron. That electron, those electronic elements are all around you. When you breathe, you take it in. Why do you think in the springtime the flower starts to turn green and blush, and then as the sun gets brighter, the flowers use the light of the sun to transform it into chlorophyll, which transform into magnesium, which the magnesium pulls light of the electrons, which is electrons, into the cells, which gives you energy. Christ said, if your eyes be full of darkness, your whole body is full of darkness. But if your eye be full of light, the whole body is full of light. So those electrons, once the plant starts to lose its color, it goes from green to yellow to brown till it falls off the tree. As it loses the sunlight, as it loses the electromagnetic forces of the sun, it falls off. It's the same thing. It's the same energy that we run on. So I hope that helps. But if you go back and listen to this video again, and as I said, you want to see those electrons, or this law that the Creator creates, because He said it in the Bible. He said, "I have already written it. It has already gone out of my mouth." So how is it that a beaver knows how to build his house without anybody teaching him? How is it that a bird knows how to build a nest without anybody teaches him? I've seen a bird took an egg to break it and fly 100 feet up into the air and dropped it on a rock. How does she know to do that? Because it's a code. It's called the right hand of God. It was written before the beginning of time. And they trying to trick you. When you go to school, they tricking you. They brainwash you. What they done, they cast a spell on the whole world. When you go to school these days, you become more stupid than when you get out. I get nurses that come talk to me. I get surgeon. I get a surgeon that came in here. They're a retired surgeon. And they eat my food. And the lady said to me, she said, "Mosha, you know, we have not gone anywhere since my husband has a stomach problem for all his life. And we can't eat nothing anywhere. But when we eat your food, we don't get sick." And you know why? She said, "We know that you know what you're talking about because we are surgeons. We look into the human body every day. We're retired." And I told him what to do. And I said, "If this doesn't help, call me." I haven't called him. I gave them something to do. So guys, that's all I have to say. Stay tuned for part 3. We're going to do a bigger video with more information.
All right, part 3 coming up. Don't forget you rocking out with the one and only phillydom and Mosha from the Reggae Lounge, Jamaican restaurant in Sasua.
The health and disease consultant. One love.